Hi everyone, this is Jet Schlackman, and for this video I'll be speaking about a topic which I'm calling information indigestion. So I'm making an analogy between digesting or processing information and digesting food or processing food in your body. So if we think about how our body handles food, how it processes what we eat and consume, we have to consider that when you're consuming food, you have to absorb the nutrition from that food, the things in that food that are valuable and useful and necessary to support your life, while at the same time you have to be able to filter out anything in that food that doesn't serve any use or purpose for you, that's perhaps some form of toxic material, some waste or unnecessary byproduct of what you're getting from the food. So there are things in what we consume or eat that are useful and that we want to absorb and assimilate into our body to help our body be maintained, while there are other things in the food that would in some way perhaps be harmful for us, or at least in a sense just neutral, not serving any use or benefit, just kind of taking up our energy to deal with it. And so we just let it go through our system and be cleared out, but we're not getting a benefit from it. It's just consuming the activity, the energy of our digestive system. So with that in mind, if you think about your diet and the foods you eat, you'd want to eat as healthy a diet as possible, where the food that you're consuming has the optimum amount of nutrition in it, the things that you need, and the least amount of content there that your body really doesn't need or can't handle or assimilate. So a healthy, balanced, natural food kind of diet versus a junk food diet, where the junk food contains a lot of harmful ingredients, things that your body doesn't need or can't handle well, and really not much nutrition, not much that your body can absorb and assimilate for its benefit. So that's kind of a general idea of what's happening as we're processing food. And of course, our ability to process food depends on the health, the resources available to the digestive system. So your digestive system would need to have probiotics and enzymes and hydrochloric acid and other acids that it uses to break down the food. And of course it needs energy, so your body has to have energy to carry out all the work and tasks that it needs to do. So without the adequate energy and information or memory or programming within your body to digest food, it can't really handle that task well. And then the quality of the food is going to play a role in your ability to digest it and process it and use it to support your health. So in terms of holistic health, those are things we think about in terms of diet and digestion. Well, now we're going to take that concept and make an analogy with information processing, how our mind or consciousness deals with all of the information that we're being exposed to and taking in. Information comes from many different sources. Currently, a lot of it comes from digital media, from electronic information sources. So things that we're reading on websites, things we're seeing in social media, messages you get in your emails, in your push text messages from your phone. Of course, there's some more old-fashioned forms of information. So you might be reading a traditional newspaper or magazine. You might be listening to the radio or watching programs on television. You might be just speaking to people you know, to your friends, your family, your colleagues and coworkers. You might be attending lectures and classes and seminars, different places where people are sharing information. And so there's a lot of information that's available to us, but if we don't have enough background knowledge or understanding, so the previous memory or programming, in a sense, it would be hard for us to know what information is actually useful or relevant, what information is truly accurate, what's quality information and what's not quality information, what's the junk information that's out there. Unless we've really refined our existing knowledge and understanding, we might not have a good reference point to determine whether the information that's being presented to us is really quality information or accurate information. So this is a challenge, and of course if we don't have much energy to direct toward examining information, so if we don't really have an opportunity to take the time to investigate and research things further, then it's easy to end up taking in information that's not really clear or accurate, that's not really the quality information we need to make wise choices or decisions. So this is something that we can all consider. How much time and energy are we actually putting in toward examining the information that's presented to us, fact-checking it, so to speak, or looking for other resources, other references that could give us some more idea, some more perspective, in a sense, to help us determine whether the information provided to us is truly accurate, is truly helpful or not. So I encourage you to consider this as you're interacting with all the information that's coming toward you. Sometimes we're kind of overloaded with too much information at once, and we're not able to take the time to critically examine it, to find other references to validate it, and so on. Just like when we're eating food, sometimes we kind of gorge on food. We take in too much at one time, more than our body can really handle. And when that happens, we often may get sick. Our body can't keep up with it, it can't break it down properly, and so rather than it being processed and providing nutrition, it ends up fermenting or creating toxins in our body, and we won't feel so well when that happens. So information that's coming toward us, we might get too much at once, and we might not properly filter and process it, and we may end up taking in some information and using it when it's actually harmful information that will lead us in a counterproductive or unhealthy direction. So sometimes you may need to just kind of press the pause button as you're taking in information and recognize you can't really process or examine it thoroughly enough, so it may be better to just not deal with it for the time being to wait until you have more time to process it, more resources to examine and research it. I hope that this discussion of information and digestion has given you some things to think about. I know that processing information is often challenging, and unfortunately, a lot of information that we encounter is not really that accurate. Often the people delivering it to us themselves don't know that they're passing along some junk information or information that's really not very well refined or supported. So it's something that we're all dealing with on a day-to-day basis. There's a flood of information, but only a certain percentage of that information is really high quality or highly accurate information. There's a lot of information that's kind of mixed. It may be somewhat accurate, somewhat relevant, and somewhat not so accurate or not relevant. And then there's some other information that may come our way that's completely inaccurate or completely deceptive in some manner. And if we were to spend too much time trying to process that information, then we would be pretty much drained and not have the opportunity to bring energy toward more quality information that will really help us and support us. So it will be helpful to train yourself to more quickly sense and recognize when you're being presented with some really junk type information that's really not worth your time and energy to even try to process, since you might get very little value out of it and you'll have to discard the rest. If we can find information that has more quality content in it and less that needs to be discarded, then things will go more efficiently, and our processing or digesting of information will be more supportive of our life rather than something that just kind of drains us or depletes us or distracts us from what's valuable to us. I appreciate each of you for taking your time to view the videos that I'm presenting, the information I'm sharing. I hope that this has been of some help or benefit to you. You can watch other videos on my channel on YouTube, and you can also view my website, which is phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. For now, I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.